COVID-19 has hit everyone hard. One thing that has been hit especially hard is schools. The closing of schools have left students and teachers at home and having to do school virtually. Some students have had to make the transition during this to high school from middle school or to a new school entirely.
It's hard to communicate in Zoom, so when we're in school, it'll be easier to make friends than it is now.
Freshman Jacob Pedraza is completely new to Central. Coming from Saul Mirowitz, Pedraza has had to make the adjustment completely online, making it harder to get acclimated to Central.
I'd say the transition was easy, especially that it's online right now. But when we're in school, it might be harder, it might not be. Time will tell.
He does, however, find some change between his old school and Central.
But now, if you don't get something in on time, you can't get any points for it, and you got to be on track with everything that you do now than my old school.
He also likes some things about how online school currently is.
I like the time that school is. I like how it's 10 to 2:30, and there's 5-minute breaks between each class.
He does have a hope for whenever we go back to school to do one thing.
I'm excited for to meet new friends, and I'd say I'm more excited to see people in face to face instead of through a computer screen.
Freshman Wilson Wojcik is at Central High School from Central Middle School, but the adjustment to high school is still very big, and he has to do it online, and he finds one thing about it very hard.
Staying focused while doing homework, with your phone just sitting right next to you, it's pretty hard to just buckle down and get done your homework. Because if I actually did my homework, it'd only take me an hour and a half, but I always take phone breaks, and it takes me 2.5 hours when it should only take me 1.5.
Wojcik also found things that are very good about online school.
Because they're giving us time to work on our own. They're not talking for very long, they're not wasting time. They're talking for the first 10-15 minutes, just going over the homework yesterday, answering questions. Then they send us off into breakout rooms. Me sitting here being in a Zoom class is only 4 hours, something like that. So then after that, I'm pretty flexible. I can do my homework later at night, at 8, or I can do it right after school, which is usually what I like to do. But it's flexible depending on what you have to do to get done that day.
Wojcik also said that he is surprised by the difficulty of the high school transition.
It's a lot easier than I thought it would be. It was made out to be a whole big difficult thing, but it was pretty simple. But I think part of it is because we were transferring to a much bigger school, but now that we're online, it's much easier to navigate.
Wojcik also believes that timing is an obstacle during online school.
It's much harder to communicate with your teachers. When you email, they're not always sitting at their computer, so sometimes it takes them a while. So then you're doing your homework from 3 to 3:45 for math, and you have to email your teacher. He or she might not be able to get back to you for 2 hours, and then you're already done with whatever you were working on.
Mr. Rogers is an Honors 2 English 1 and English 2 teacher who has had to adjust to teaching online for this school year, causing him to lose what he believes is one of his biggest assets.
Not being able to make and form relationships with students as easily. I think that's probably one of my biggest strengths as a teacher, and I think it's really hard to do that, and at least in the same way. I think I'm doing my very best at it, and I think it's been mildly successful, but I just think in person I'm able to relate more with kids. For me, when I was a student, I always wanted to learn more from the teachers that I got along with, and that I was, friendly with, and that I liked. And I'm a coach as well. It's the same kind of thing. The coaches that I had and the teachers that I had that you wanted to learn from, and you wanted to be in their class, and you wanted to play on their team, like those are the teachers and coaches that you work for.
Rogers believes that it is easier to do in person than online, but as he is stuck online, he is trying to make the most of it.
So as a teacher, I would say that it's going okay. Certainly I prefer in-person instruction to digital instruction, but it is what it is. I mean, this is what we've been dealt, and so it's kind of up to us to make the best of it. I do think that high school students are able to access a lot of the information and access a lot of the curriculum digitally. I think, I really like that we have, set times for classes and things like that. That really helps make it kind of feel more like normal school. I think that's a really big thing.
Rogers believes that there are some students who enjoy an online setting more than in-person school.
Especially if they're a little bit more introverted, or they're a little bit more, just they are more homebodies or something like that. I think those students have expressed enjoyment. I think some students like the fact that they can do things truly at their own pace, where there's a lot more asynchronous time, and they're able to kind of set their schedule. So I think some of those students have really enjoyed it.
Reporting for PCH TV, I'm Ethan Albin.